Welcome back traders to my YouTube channel. In this video I'll be breaking down some of the setups I have for you guys, starting off with USDCAD. Now let's start off on the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame, it shows that the market has actually had a strong push towards the downside, a bearish push, and this is considering after a double doji formation and after a long period of consolidation. As you guys can see, we had a nice level of support somewhere around this area, and we consolidated for over a month before we had this drop. So obviously this means that the bears are now in control of the market, and all we have to do really now is just identify the bearish market structure and to look for a nice retracement so we can catch the next impulsive move. So on the daily time frame, I noticed that there is a nice level of support right here. There's a nice level of support that price has recently broke out of. I believe this was last week, and we continue to push towards the downside, but then on Thursday and Friday we didn't have that much movement. Instead, we formed a double doji formation. Now what happens in the double doji formation is essentially a momentum loss that occurs with the impulsive move. So when we have a strong bearish presence right here with these candlesticks, followed by these double dojis, it essentially just means that the momentum is starting to lose on the bearish side, and we could look for a retracement to occur back towards the upside. So we have the double doji and we have the recent broken level of support. So what I would be expecting is a nice retracement, retest, and then a continuation back towards the downside. However, let's drop down on the 4-hour time frame to break this down even further. Now, as you guys can see, a clear market structure is forming right here with these highs right here. So we have this higher high, push down, impulsive move. We have the lower high, push down to create another impulsive move, lower low, and now we're looking to create a new retracement towards the upside. Now obviously, as I mentioned before, my target is going to be this level of resistance, and we can use the nice Fibonacci tool to look for a nice target area. And as you guys can see, the 61.80% lines up perfectly with our daily level of resistance. So what I'll be looking for essentially is this retracement move towards the upside, and then we can look for a nice short position back towards to the downside. However, we can still take advantage of this the setup, that the way that the market is set right now, because we have this level of resistance that's being held right now with these candlesticks. So what I'll be looking for is if we can just have a closure above this level, we can look for that retest, and then we can target this level of resistance before looking for that short position back towards the downside. Now if we happen to take this trade, we would be going against the overall trend. However, it does seem like we will continue to push as this is going to be the next level of resistance. So I feel comfortable taking this position. Obviously, the more conservative way to trade this would be to look for the short opportunity from this level. However, this in itself is a pretty good trade as well, with a nice 124.30 risk reward ratio. It would just be a nice intraday position with a 70 pip gain and a 15 pip stop loss. So essentially on USDCAD, we have a bearish market structure, and we're waiting for this level of resistance to be broken to look for a potential buy opportunity before looking for a short opportunity around this area, which is going to be the main trade for USDCAD. All right, so with that being said, let's move on to the second setup. The second setup I have for you guys is GBPCAD. Now, starting off on the weekly time frame, you can see that we just formed a strong bullish shooting star formation. So with this bullish shooting star, I do believe we will have a follow through towards the upside, especially given these past candlestick formations here as well, which you guys can clearly see that the bulls are clearly in control. Even with this candlestick, which has a bearish body, you can identify the long wick that it has left behind before the candlestick actually formed. So in this market on the weekly time frame, the bulls are definitely in control, and I'll be looking for a continuation towards the upside. Now if we were to drop down on the daily time frame, we can identify a nice level of resistance that's being formed right now. You guys can see right here, this was a pretty important level for GBPCAD. Notice how over here, especially how we had a strong bullish presence right here and a strong bullish momentum towards the upside, but then it was at this point where the bears stepped in, and immediately we saw price have a nice decline towards the downside. Now after forming a double bottom formation, we saw price climb back towards the upside into our level of resistance, and now we're just starting to, again, we had a rejection here, and we started to push down, but then again the bulls start to step in once again, and ultimately we formed a nice potential a morning star formation on the daily time frame. So what I'll be looking for is a daily closure above this level. I'll be looking for that retest and then a continued push towards the upside. Our target on this is going to be 1.73. The reason being, it is a round number and it has previously acted as a strong level of support and a strong level of resistance. Now this right here could be a very good trade opportunity, as it would present us with almost a 1-to-5 or a 1-to-4 risk reward ratio. So considering we had the daily closure above, we go down on the 4-hour time frame to identify the retest and confirmation, and we would, if that is to occur, the confirmation, we would enter a buy trade. Our target's going to be at 1.73 and our stop loss would be somewhere around here, and this would be a nice trade opportunity and a nice 1 to 4.5. The third setup I have for you guys is on GBPAUD. Now, as you guys can see on GBPAUD, we have overall just been pushing lower and lower with no signs of a significant retracement. Now, we do have this right here which could be considered a retracement. However, with the overall trend towards the downside, it makes no sense to be looking for a buy position. So if we were to drop down on the 4-hour time frame, we can identify a lower low and lower high structure right here that's being formed. With this being the highest point in the market, we push down to create a lower low, lower high, lower low, and now we see price coming over here to create a new lower high formation. We just formed a shooting star, which does indicate a strong bearish presence that we could ultimately see price push down to create a new lower low, or at least come back down to these lows right here around 1.77500. Now there is also a nice level of resistance right here which we could take into account. So essentially on GBPAUD, what we would be looking for is just one more rejection from here and a confirmed rejection especially, and if we were to confirm this rejection, we can then simply enter a short position towards the downside, targeting 1.7750, so somewhere around here we could target, and our stop loss would just be just above this level of resistance, and this could be a nice an easy 1-to-6 risk reward ratio trade. So we'll see how this trade develops, and if anything, we'll enter this position as well. Now the last setup I want to share with you guys is EURNZD. Now starting off on the weekly time frame, we do have another strong bullish shooting star formation, followed which was a continued push, followed by this bullish engulfing. So what I'll be looking for is just a continued push towards the upside. There's no reason to be looking for a short position. However, there is a slight level of resistance here, but essentially what we'd be looking for is a daily closure above this level of resistance to look. So let me just quickly draw on this level. So we have this level of resistance, and if price is able to have a daily closure above, we can then look for our next target of 1.77 to be achieved. However, you guys can also see there is a slight market structure here being formed, where we have a higher high, higher low, and now we should be creating a new higher high. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some type of rejection before we see the big push towards the upside. Now dropping down on the 4-hour time frame, we did form a bearish shooting star. However, this isn't really significant as the market actually closed as soon as this candlestick formed. So we just have to wait and see how price develops. We have this level of support, which you guys can see price could act aggressively around this area as it did previously. So this could be our retracement area, and we could see price continue to hold this level and then a continued push towards the upside. So that's pretty much it for right now. The main pairs I have is USDCAD and GBPCAD, EURNZD, and we also have a setup on GBPAUD. So we'll see how this trade plays out. I'll be updating this daily on in the free Telegram that I have. You can click the description. You can click the link in the description below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a profitable trading week ahead.